Today on Herndon Live, I sit down with Dylan Brockway, the host of Frameworks.
I will give you a recap of this year's Oscars.
All this and more as Herndon Live gets underway. Back, I'm alongside Mark Seaman. Jack Norcross and Ali Castleray are in New York right now. We are streaming with them live. So, Jack, can you hear us?
Hey, Emily, how you doing? We are right now walking down 8th Avenue right now. We're going to walk. We're right now crossing a street. I'm alongside Ali Castleray. We are live in New York. This is something that we've never done before. We have lots of different equipment. I am now crossing the street. We have seen lots of almost accidents happening today in the city, but it's been a good day. Ali, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm like in a little bit of pain. It's okay.
Poor Ali. We've been running up and down.
Hey, Jack. So,
Oh no.
Uh-oh, we lost
oh no, we lost them. Anyway, Jack and Ali are in New York for a choir and theater mixed field trip. They went to see
Aladdin.
they're going to see Aladdin and a few other Broadway shows. They've been going to several other workshops throughout the day, and they're going to be there till this weekend, I believe.
Yes, I believe they come back Sunday.
Yes.
Yes. So a couple days in New York. Let's see how they look on return.
Yeah. So, okay. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to finish our little live stream with Jack. Unfortunately. Anyway,
All right.
so we're going to go over to our Oscar recap. Mark and I, we did a little
Oscar recap.
review on the Oscars.
You have to change the input on the TV.
Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do that to the Oscar recap. Okay, I can't go. Sorry, we're going to go to the Oscar recap any second now. Mark? Okay, 1 second.
I have wrong TV.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Emily Yen alongside Mark Seaman. Today we're going to be talking about the Oscars, more of a recap, you know, going back and looking it over.
Going back. And for those of you who watch the Oscars or watch lists, we all know that Birdman won a couple of the big categories: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, and it was nominated along with Grand Budapest Hotel for the most Oscars in the entire year. Am I right?
Yeah, so Birdman, I mean, my opinion, I haven't seen Birdman, so I guess I'm in no position to say, but I was getting a little, annoyed that Birdman was monopolizing the Oscars. But I mean, there's always a picture like that every year.
Exactly. And based on reviews that I've seen, and I haven't seen Birdman either, but it appears to be a very good film. And also, Grand Budapest was also a pretty big contender, nominated for a lot of categories.
Yes. So the Oscars last week?
Week before last.
Way back in February was on ABC, hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. So just talking about Neil Patrick Harris's performance, his opening musical was very fun. Had Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick and Jack Black, I believe.
Black.
Yeah.
So that was always fun. He emphasized a lot on the amazingness of motion pictures, which I love. Very classic. But then by the end of his performance, he did his final joke was an Oscar predictions ballot.
Yes.
He made a ballot of of all his predictions for the Oscars and what was going to happen that night, and he put it in a box, locked up, and he made Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, watch it for the whole Oscars, and apparently he had a live video feed of the whole Oscar box that someone could watch on ABC. Though I don't know if I'd want to go back and watch like 10 hours of footage of just a box while everything's happening like at the other end of the stage. But at the end of the Oscars, before Best Picture was presented,
they opened up the box.
They opened up the box, and there were a list of Oscar predictions, and he got most of them right, I believe.
Actually, he got all of them right, and they weren't predictions based on award. They were predictions on what happened previously on the show, like John Travolta touching the woman's face, and like Terrence Howard giving a very touching speech. All of them were spot on. And when he read them, I was just crushed. I'm not going to lie. Because the Oscars, it's an award show. I mean, as I know that it's usually staged, but
yes.
The fact that he had them all listed and he was reading them out loud live, it just reminded me about how staged the shows are, and it was a little disappointing. I was surprised that they would do something like that. It doesn't really prove much besides the fact that everything that happened on the show was premeditated, every little thing, which I found disappointing.
Yeah, well, not everything, but most of everything was premeditated.
Like the touching of the face or the tone of the speech, it was all...
Kind of makes me think, did John Travolta pre-plan to touch Idina Menzel's face, because it was right.
It was funny, but it was funny when it happened, but once he made the prediction, like at the end of the show,
it kind of made me feel like he was kind of in on it, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. All of it was just planned, and I felt a little crushed.
Yes.
Anyway, so anything else you'd like to touch upon the Oscars?
No, except the one like sideshow, and I'm pretty sure everybody knew about this one, or found out about it at one point or another, was when Neil Patrick Harris got his robe stuck in a door, and he walked out in front of on the main stage like completely naked.
Again, very staged, unfortunately. I mean, of course, if they're going to be airing that on live television, it has to be pre-approved at some level. Also, Boyhood was a big surprise. Didn't win that many. Just Patricia Arquette for
Patricia Arquette
for supporting actress. Yes. So, anything else you'd like to add? Okay. That's all for Oscar recaps. That's basically all you need to know about what happened. Birdman monopolized the Oscars. Boyhood did not win half as many as they were expected to. And Neil Patrick Harris's performance was great at first, but ended with those predictions, which just rushed me. Anyway, that is all for the Oscar recaps. Let's go on to our next segment.
First, before we begin our news story, Herndon Live would like to apologize for the technical issues we were having earlier. We were having some technical difficulties before the show, and we did not expect it to cut out like that, and everything beyond that point was not what we planned to happen. So Skype is no more on the show, so whatever episodes there were Skype in, cherish them. And now we begin our news story, and what good is a Herndon Live news story without a plane crashing? So let's start with our first story. The first one is a seizure at 12,000 feet. Now this is a news story that happened several months ago and last year, where Christopher Jones of Perth was skydiving, and at about 9,000 feet after he was free falling, he had a seizure. And as you can see, the video is not playing, but his instructor was able to pull the parachute ripcord at about 4,000 feet. So, and then he again pulled his own ripcord, and then they both glided down. And the man who had the seizure, Christopher Jones, was able to regain consciousness at about 3,000 feet and was able to land safely. Now, at first, it is unknown how this happened, but later it is revealed that Jones had a medical condition called epilepsy, which often gives the person who has the condition frequent and recurrent seizures. And he said that he had been seizure-free for the past couple of years, but doctors said that opening senses can bring it back, such as skydiving, an activity like that. Now we move on to our second story, and this is where the plane incident really comes into play. Yesterday, and this may have been a news story that you may have heard already, trouble on the tarmac at LaGuardia Airport. Now, on Thursday 5th, 2015, Delta Flight 1086 unsuccessfully landed at LaGuardia and was unable to stop, and thus skidded across the runway and was unable to stop until it rammed into a fence only feet away from the frigid Hudson River. Now, the crew and the passengers, which is roughly 130 people, all survived and were allowed to get off the plane safely. And they were then taken to the airport terminal via buses. And as you can see here, this picture, the plane, this is the Hudson, and then this is the boundary of the airport. And as you can see, the nose is almost in the water, and that's how so. And after the incident, LaGuardia shut down all of its runways and had to redirect air traffic to Newark Airport and other local airports. But however, several hours after the incident, around 2 p.m. our time, they opened up one runway, but the other remained closed. And now we're going to our final news story, which involves a Star Wars actor, Harrison Ford. You know Han Solo. He was able to fly the Millennium Falcon, but unfortunately he wasn't able to fly a World War II plane. On Thursday 5th, which is the same day of the previous accident, Harrison Ford crashed a World War II airplane into a Santa Monica golf course. And as you can see here, the airport runway, which he took off, is very close to where the plane landed right here. And Ford, a veteran pilot who had actually rescued 2 people before, said that the plane stalled almost immediately after he got off the ground, and then afterwards he reported an engine failure, and he was granted access to return to the runway, but he realized that he couldn't and made for a golf course that was only a few yards away. Now, Ford himself survived because this is Harrison Ford, let's be honest here, he'll survive anything. He was taken to the airport with only moderate injuries, and you can see the crash here. Ford is not in this picture, but you can see the plane. It is relatively small. Here's the picture in comparison, and Ford is expected to make a full recovery, and even his son, Ben Ford, tweeted, "He is every bit the man you think he is. He is an incredibly strong man," hinting at his father's full recovery. And that is it for this week's news stories. We are now moving on to the polls. We are moving to the polls.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Emily Yen, here to bring you a new segment on Herndon Live, the weekly poll. That's not really what we're going to call it, but we're just going to stick with it for now. So basically what I'm going to be doing on this segment is, well, every 2 weeks when we have our show, I'm going to be going to people, asking them through Twitter and in person their opinions on recent social topics. So this week, for our first poll segment, I asked, do you have a private Twitter separate from your personal Twitter? I know this seems like a very irrelevant topic to many people, but you'd actually be surprised how many people have Twitter accounts for their personal use and for their private use. So I went on, for a better idea of what this means, I went to everyone's least favorite site, Urban Dictionary, and I got a definition. They say a private account is an account that someone with heaps of followers on Instagram creates, so only friends, and lets only friends follow it so they can post silly photos. So it's basically the idea of a private account. You only let certain people follow it. But the thing about the private accounts that I'm talking about is that they're separate from their main accounts that they use specifically for talking about other people. So this is what I got. I asked 58 people total, or I didn't ask, I put a poll up on Twitter, and these are the responses that I got. 17 people said that they did have a private Twitter, or also known as PTs. 41 said no, they do not. So these 41 people, they do have a Twitter because they responded via Twitter, but they do not have an extra account that they use for ranting or talking about other people. So if you look at the graph, that gives you a better idea of how many people, if we're talking about a large crowd, of course this is only 58 people, that's nearly 1 in 4 people. No, that's nearly 1 in 3 people, but it's about one out of 4 people who have these extra accounts that they use for saying what's really on their minds, which I found interesting. I also got a few statements via Twitter and also in person. I asked one person how they felt about private Twitters, and they said, "Everyone has bad things to say. Better to rant in private than say it in publicly, right?" Which this idea I thought was interesting because it clashed with a statement that I saw on Twitter, which said, "Private Twitters are so stupid. If you can't put it on your public account, you probably shouldn't put it on the internet." Which is interesting because that's very true. If you have something bad to say and you don't want to put it on an account where lots of people see it, but you put it on an account on the internet that only a few people can see, what's really the point here? And also, another person said, "Everyone hates on PTs until they get one, LOL." So basically, if you have just one Twitter account right now and you're hating on people who have separate accounts that they use to talk about others, you might not like the idea, but this person says once you get it, you're not going back. Next, we have a surprise poll. Usually for the segment, we'd only do maybe one question, but we just had to talk about the dress. Now, if you don't know what the dress is, you're in luck. I'm about to ruin your day. This is the dress. It's an ugly dress, but you'd be surprised about on how much chaos it has caused within a few days. So when you look at this dress, what colors do you see? Just look at it for a second. What are the first 2 colors that this dress looks like? Is it gold and white, or is it blue and black? Now, if you saw gold and white on the dress, you're probably thinking, okay, how am I supposed to see blue and black? Or if you saw blue and black, you're like, how the heck am I supposed to see gold and white? Which is very interesting because this dress right here that I'm telling you caused lots and lots and lots of chaos over the weekend is actually blue and black. In real life, this dress is blue and black. The owner of the dress recently went on the Ellen show, I believe, wearing the dress, but lots and lots and lots of people see gold and white. We learned that this is because of the coloring, the quality of the picture wasn't so great, some saturation levels were off, but yes, it's amazing how even the split is between how many people are sure that it was gold and white and how many people were positive that it's blue and black. If you guess blue and black, you're right. If you see gold and white, technically you're not wrong because, I'll be honest, I see gold and white when I see this dress. It doesn't look like a blue and black dress to me. Anyway, to talk more about optical nerves and how the eye works and optical illusions, Laja and Mridu have a segment on eyes.
Hello, this is Laja Preddy.
And I'm Mridu Preddy.
And we are here to talk about the dress that Emily was talking about.
So this dress is trending all over Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, everywhere.
Facebook, yeah.
This concept of this dress is really interesting. Like, just to make it clear, the real dress is black and blue. But here we are to talk about like the scientific reasons behind why we see this color as we do. So do you have some?
Oh yeah. So the color of the dress, it has to do with tiny cones in back of our eyelids, which like interprets different colors and like determines how we perceive the colors. So
Yeah.
that also, yeah.
So in the back of your eye, there's a retina, which is the layer of tissue that lines behind, like at the back of your eye, which contains light detecting cells and which are called cones. So the more blue cones you have, the more like you're tended to see the color as black and blue, and the less you have, you see like white and gold.
Oh.
And then I also heard it was like about genes as well.
Yeah, also it's also genetic. Yeah. So most of the time, 99% of the people we see the same color, but also like this dress, it has hints of like sweet spot that confuses people with different colors. So like that's why people are seeing black and blue or gold and white.
Like the blending of color, because it's not like white. It's like creamy. I don't know. It's like creamy white, and probably And another reason why is because of the lighting as well, and how it was taken at that time. So and it's like the light reflecting on the dress and how your eyes interprets it.
The real thing is in our eyes, we have 3 colors: green, red, and blue. Like our brain mixes those colors up to interpret other colors like pink, yellow, those stuff. That's how our brain creates colors. That's why we like see different colors. Yeah.
Because like the red you're wearing, that actually has a lot of colors in it, but we only see that color. Because you know, like when you look through it like from rectangular prism, you see so many different colors from it. But our eyes can only see one color because it's blended. And
also the shade of red that I see, you might not see the same red because that's how our brain interprets the colors.
Yeah. So what color? I see white and gold.
Yeah, that's what I see.
But when I like tilt it, I see blue and black. So
And apparently the most common color that confuses people is blue and yellow. So they say that the black in the dress has blue in it. That's why, and then the white has yellow. I mean, the gold has yellow. That's why it's like the dress confuses people.
It's really amazing. Some people see it as black and orange.
Black and orange?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard about that.
It's very interesting. Yeah, people see different things, and
yeah, it's just how our brain interprets the colors.
But I think 70% of people see black and blue from the dress. Yeah. So yeah, that is the scientific reasons behind this dress, and that's it for our dress segment today.
Now we're gonna go into a promo. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Herndon Live. I'm here with a familiar face on HCTV, Dylan Brockway.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, from Frameworks, from the promo that we just saw.
Boom.
So,
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
very unexpected. I didn't know anybody liked me that much.
Yeah, Herndon Live is a big fan of Frameworks.
Hey, well, I'm a big fan of Herndon Live.
All right, well, so can you tell us a little bit about what Frameworks is? We're excited about the new season coming up, so can you tell us about the premise of the show?
Well, it started off, Megan Zinn and Brian Rose, a beautiful and strong power couple. They came to me and they said, we'd like you to be a host, a talking head, something fairly easy to look at without a lot of brains so they don't start questioning things. And I said, sure. And I got distracted. But we grew up we all went to public schools and we all took advantage of the arts departments at our schools. And it disheartened us to see so many budget cuts to the funding to the arts departments throughout Virginia. And we thought that we'd like to create a program that showcased local artists all throughout Northern Virginia because we really think art is a great outlet for people and that it's really healthy. And that it's a shame that so much money is going into the sports departments and it's all being taken from
science and math and technology. And
yeah. So it's all really about keeping art alive and stuff.
Yeah, so you mentioned art. Do you have any like particular like profession in arts or like?
Do I personally?
Any interests in arts?
Well, I really like art, and I tried out a lot of different types of art before I settled on one. I started teaching myself how to play the guitar when I was about 9 years old, and then when I got into high school, I got into theater at my public school, and I really enjoyed acting, and I realized that I didn't like it as much as music, so I kind of went back to music. And I actually have an EP I'm recording right now. It should be out in May.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So the show, you've had a lot of guests on it. Each show you have about two guests, am I right?
Yeah, every show.
So like what type of people come to the show locally?
Well, we like to widen the spectrum of, art. A lot of people would, say, oh, photography, music, book writing, all that stuff, like very basic things. But we try to do a little bit more of a variety in our show. Like we had a chef who owned her own business, and there was a singer. I don't know if anyone considers that art.
Of course that's art.
That's where we disagree. But we didn't want to just have singers and photographers over and over again. So we really enjoy getting filmmakers instead of just actors, or music producers and composers instead of just singers. So I have a lot of fun. It's really given me a nice opportunity to meet a lot of cool people. So
I've seen a couple episodes. You have a lot of interesting guests, and I also see that you do a lot of demonstrations. What's one of the coolest demonstrations you've had on the show?
Well, whenever we have a huge crew, big budget for Frameworks. It's me, Brian, and Megan, and I'm very little. I'm involved very little. I come in here and they don't tell me much, and then they'll be like, "Hey, by the way, Dylan, you're gonna dance and you're gonna learn an Irish jig today."
So you've done an Irish jig on the show?
Not on the show, but I've done an Irish jig.
Oh, okay.
For fun.
Okay.
I'll do one here if you want, but you probably don't want, so.
I mean, sure, why not?
Maybe I could interview myself on Frameworks one day.
Interview yourself on Frameworks as an artist?
But they never tell me anything, so I'll come into the place and I'll interview a dancer, and then they'll say, "Hey, now, Dylan, you're gonna dance." And I'll go, "Oh, great."
Okay. I mean, you've had a lot of cool people on the show. I mean, American Idol stars. I mean, painters.
Yeah. We had a singer that made it to the top 100.
Yeah.
The top 100 of American Idol the season before. She was on the X Factor, was it? And a few other really big name shows. And I think she went to a Fairfax County school, but I'm not exactly sure what. But she's had a tremendous burst of talent. She's only 18 or 19. It's really really good opportunity to have someone on the show, because she's one of those people I feel like is going to be famous eventually,
Yeah, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I interviewed her on Frameworks."
She ignored me before she was famous.
Okay. So this is the second season. The first season had about eight shows.
Yeah.
And it's coming, as nicely stated here, coming soon. It's coming back this Sunday. There's going to be a marathon starting at 1:30 right here on HCTV. It's going to go up till 5.
From 1:30 to 5 o'clock, we're going to run through all the episodes, and then we're going to have a live premiere event of Frameworks Season 2, which is Spanish for 3.
Just kidding, 2. So yeah, that's really exciting. It's going to be live. Other than this show right now, have you done live stuff before?
I've never been on live TV when someone wanted me to be on live TV.
Okay, well.
But I've been on live TV.
Yeah, you are right now, actually.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
So.
Come home.
It was nice having you on Herndon Live. Don't forget to stick around on Sunday for the Frameworks Marathon starting at 1:30, and then at 5, see Dylan.
I recommend not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Not talking to your children. Sit back and relax. whichever camera's on. Sit back and relax. Watch some Frameworks. Fall asleep. We don't care.
Frameworks is an excellent show. Anyway, let's go on to our next promo, and we'll be right back.
The battles that count aren't the ones for gold medals. The struggles within yourself, the invisible, inevitable battles inside all of us, that's where it's at.
Jesse Owens, an American track and field athlete, was a 4-time Olympic gold medalist at the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin, Germany.
ESPN's Larry Schwartz described him as single-handedly crushing Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy.
This month, HCTV celebrates the important role African Americans played in U.S. history.
And welcome back. I'm here again with another familiar face from the previous promo, Casey Molina. So today we're going to be doing our regular segment, Road to College. Oh my gosh, we have this
it says Road to College.
It's not very fancy.
Yeah. Okay, so basically I just wanted to catch you all up with what I've been doing with all of my college process. So right now, primarily I'm doing financial aid, which is pretty much just, you know, keeping up with the deadlines.
Which is a very important part.
Yeah, as we talked about. Yeah, the deadlines are really important, and I just suggest, you know, go on to every website for every college that you applied to and write down the due dates for every single financial aid item. And then also talk to your parents about, you know, what you expect from them. Because it may seem like, you know, your parents' biggest goal is getting you into college, but they forget things just like everybody else. And yeah, you need to really stay on top of them. And then something I didn't know about was the CSS profile and like
CSS.
Exactly. Like no one knows what it is, but it kind of, for some colleges it goes along with the FAFSA. So I know that I completed my FAFSA, and then for like 5 of my schools, they wanted this large CSS profile, which is like detailed financial information for your family. And it's really time consuming and really stressful. So yeah, I know, just making everyone aware of that. And then also, I feel like the most important part for me about doing like all the financial aid stuff that I've done is my emails, like checking my emails and making sure, you know, like I'm going through them and actually reading them, because I get so many emails a day, and I feel like I get an email and I'm like, okay, whatever. But then my mom, if I tell my mom I got an email, she'll come back to me and she'll be like, oh, didn't you get an email from like Boston University? And I'm like, oh yeah. And it's like 2 weeks have gone by, and probably what they needed is overdue. So yeah. So check your email, make sure your email is synced up to your phone, be checking it on the daily. And then I feel like now as a senior, I'm mostly dealing with just senioritis. I'm just really like, don't feel like doing anything.
This is just one of those, I consider this a huge part of the road to college, is like that part where you got almost everything done.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah, you're like in educational limbo right now. You're on the cusp of like going to college and like being stuck in high school, and it's like, what's the point? But my tips that I would probably give for staying motivated are definitely form study groups, because you get to talk to a lot of other seniors that are not motivated. But actually, like, but when you guys are together, you realize, okay, like, we need to get our work done. So form study groups, and it makes doing your work a whole lot more fun. And also be open about like what your grades are with your peers, because people will jump on you. Like if your friend is really your friend and they see your grades are tanking because you've just stopped caring, then they'll talk to you about it. Like I know I have a lot of friends right now who like, and it kind of goes both ways. They're like, you know, have you done any work in this class? And I'm like, I haven't even looked at my homework for that class in like 2 weeks, you know? But it's, I don't know, along those lines, it's kind of like they help keep you on track, which is really helpful. And then I would also say make time to do your homework at school, because now what I get caught up with is once I get home, I'm just really tired from whatever it is so tiring about my day. I don't even know. But I just feel like going to sleep or like watching Netflix all day. And so I would say make time in the morning when you get to school, and make time when, you know, like when you're, I don't know, you have to make time at night for homework.
Yeah.
You have to make time, but make time in the library. Like, go to the library, utilize the library, and talk to your teachers. And actually, one of my biggest things now is, like, if I don't study for a test, I go in early the day before the test and I ask my teacher questions, which I've never done before. And it's just, like, I don't know. My lack of motivation is crazy. But, and then I would say I wanted to talk a little bit about getting ahead for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, because I feel like if I could go back and do some things again, I always feel like, you know, I could be more prepared. And
for college?
Yeah, just like the entire process. I feel like now that I'm almost done with the process, I feel like there's so much more that I could have done in other grades to be more ready. And I would just say, like, well, for freshmen, I would say make a list of 20 colleges that you want to apply to and just, like, have an idea. I really didn't even know or have any idea of where I wanted to go until the beginning of my junior year. And it was crazy because I never even, like, obviously, you know, I had my first choice school, but I was like, what if, you know, what other colleges are there out there? What if I don't get in?
Yeah.
So I would say make that list and then go to your first college campus. Like, take tours for fun of any college that's nearby and just know what a college campus looks like. And for sophomores, I would say line up your recommendations, like, or not, I'm sorry, not line up your recommendations, but, like, get your extracurriculars together. And know, like, you know, have your volunteer work, have your after-school activities, have that stuff on your resume so that, you know, when your junior and senior year rolls around, you know what you're going to write down. You're not, like, scrambling to get volunteer hours. And then for juniors, I would say that's when I would say get your rec letters together. My biggest issue was coming out of my junior year, we had the guidance recommendation packet that no one knew about. And yeah, your guidance counselor gives you this large packet and you basically have to write your whole life story in it. And it's just, yeah, so that they can know you and so that they can write you a really good recommendation letter. Because actually, coming from your guidance counselor, that's so important. And so I would say definitely focus on that. And then narrow down that list of 20 colleges. Like, that's when you should start saying, okay, like, I'm going to apply to 5 schools or I'm going to apply to 10 schools. And just, yeah, because you probably can't apply to all 20 schools that you really want to go to. And look at scholarships is the most important. I think I started looking at scholarships at the end of my junior year, and I feel like that's the majority of what I spent my summer doing was looking at scholarships and applying to scholarships. And it's so boring, but you have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important. They also tie back to financial aid.
Yeah, that ties back to financial aid. And then senior year, obviously, do your Common App and actually start applying to your colleges. And then, yeah, do your financial aid. So actually, I wanted to ask you, do you have any questions for me? Because I know, like, I talk to you guys a lot off camera about, like, college and stuff. But I feel like, yeah, do you have any questions?
Well, okay, so you made this extraordinary prep list for the grades, which I think is great. I mean, oh my gosh, I love the idea of college, everything about it. I visited USC in California. I've done tours. I've made lists. It's just, I don't know. I'm just afraid that when the time comes, it's just, you know, gonna bite me. But
right. I mean, I can say you'll probably always feel unprepared. Like, nothing's gonna prepare you for actually, like, the slip-ups and, like, the mistakes that you make when applying or just whatever happens during the process. I could just say, just be very meticulous about what you're turning in and just pay attention, because you're going to hit a wall and you're going to be like, I'm so tired of applying for all of these scholarships or, like, to all of these schools or whatever it is I'm doing, that you just don't want to look at stuff closely. But it's so important to do that, because on one of my Common Apps, I thought I submitted my application and I actually didn't. And luckily I was, like, submitting for the early deadline, but I missed the early deadline. And stuff like that happens all the time, you know? And it's just important that you just pay attention and you just, like, slow down.
Yes, and there's this mystical Common App.
Yeah.
I mean, most colleges, from what I know, require it. Is that
most colleges use the Common App, but there's always going to be the couple that just wouldn't be difficult, and they have their own application on their website. But the Common App is just this big database where you fill out one application and you can check all the colleges that you're applying to. And then for each one that has a writing supplement, they'll add their supplement onto the application, and it's just all in one format, so you could just fill it out on the website.
Nice.
And that's actually, it's really helpful and really easy. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So basically what we've covered today, what is important, we have financial aid, getting everything in on time or ahead of time.
Yep,
and then also your recommendations for the, well,
the guidance recommendation. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, thank you for Road to College is always so interesting for me.
I mean, I hope.
Really.
I mean, getting ready for college isn't very interesting. It's just kind of really like stressful. And then when you come out on the other side, you're like, wow, I just did that.
I survived, and now I don't want to do any work.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. I know, and even though it's not even over, you don't want to do any work, and you're just kind of like, I'm done, even though you're not.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is all for Herndon Live. I want to say a quick thank you to Mark Seaman, who is our fill-in anchor for today. And again, apologize for our little technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. I know Jack and Allie were really looking forward to do a live streaming
their Skype
call, their Skype, their FaceTime. Okay, well, as Mark mentioned, we're probably never doing that again. But again, thank you for the show. I mean, not thank you for the show. Thank you for watching the show, and that is all for Herndon Live.
All right.
Good night.